Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at that really shocking attack on April 22nd, 2025.
Yeah, in Pahalgam, Indian-administered Kashmir, a place known as Mini Switzerland. Just beautiful.
And then this happens, a terrible act of violence shattering that peace.
So for this deep dive, we've pulled together news reports, some early analysis, official statements, basically everything coming out right after the attack in Bajra Meadow.
And the aim here is to, get the core facts straight, maybe understand the why behind it and what it could mean without getting totally bogged down.
Exactly, just the crucial insights.
Okay, let's get into the details. The attack itself happened when? Around 2:45 in the afternoon.
That's right, 2:45 p.m. Bajra Meadow. And the numbers, they're awful. At least 26 confirmed dead initially.
Mostly Indian nationals, but also one Nepali citizen reported, and over 20 injured, some very badly. Some sources even mention maybe 28 dead later on.
It's just devastating. Victims from all over India, Maharashtra, Haryana, and among them a young Navy lieutenant on his honeymoon.
Terrible. And reports suggested maybe an intelligence bureau official too, and a local guide caught up in it.
And the way it happened, eyewitnesses described maybe around 7 militants, heavily armed, military-style uniforms.
Sophisticated weapons too, apparently. M4s, AK-47s mentioned.
But what's really disturbing, host speaker, are these allegations of religious profiling, asking names, asking people to recite the Kalma.
Checking for circumcision, according to some accounts. It adds this really sinister sectarian layer.
Definitely. The whole thing lasted maybe 20 minutes.
And then who claimed responsibility?
Well, the claim came pretty fast from the resistance front, the TRF.
Which is believed to be linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba, Lati, maybe Hizbul Mujahideen too.
Correct. An offshoot, potentially.
Ah.
Their stated reason. They said it was a response to the Indian government settling outsiders in Kashmir.
Right. They cited a figure over 85,000 people, claiming it's causing demographic change after Article 370 was revoked.
Though it's worth noting, Indian intelligence reports suggest maybe fewer attackers, like 4, possibly 2 from Pakistan, 2 locals.
And they released sketches linked to letting suspect.
Yes. And this whole TRF thing, it might be a strategy, a way for established groups like Leti to operate under a new name, avoid scrutiny, maybe pull in new recruits.
Makes sense. So how did the Indian government react?
Swiftly, high-level response. PM Modi came back. They held a cabinet committee on security meeting. The Home Minister went to the site.
And actions against Pakistan, pretty significant ones.
Oh, yeah. Suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, that's a big deal for water sharing. Canceling SARC visas for Pakistanis. Closing the Atari border crossing.
Even pulling defense advisors from the High Commission in Islamabad.
Exactly. And on the ground in Kashmir, massive security response.
Manhunt, more troops deployed, cordon and search operations, helicopters, the works.
And the police in Anantnag put up a big reward, 20 lakh rupees, for information. Plus, the National Investigation Agency, the NIA, they've started their own probe.
Okay, so stepping back. What's the thinking behind why this happened now? What are analysts saying?
Well, the main idea seems to be reigniting tensions. Kashmir had seen a period of relative calm. Tourism was picking up. This shatters that.
And the timing. U.S. Vice President visiting the region, PM Modi traveling. It feels intentional, right? To grab global headlines.
Absolutely. Maximum international attention seems like a key goal, and it connects directly to those post-Article 370 policies, especially residency rules.
It fits a pattern, doesn't it? Attacks during major visits. I remember reading about Nunwan in 2000, Chittisingpura before Clinton's visit.
Exactly. 2002 Kaluchak attack, too, during a U.S. official's visit. It's a tactic we've seen before, sadly. And it obviously puts huge strain on India-Pakistan relations again.
And the immediate fallout for Kashmir itself, tourism must be taking a massive hit.
Oh, definitely. ClearTrip reported something like a 7-fold jump in cancellations. And bookings down maybe 40%, huge blow.
Plus, concerns for the Amarnath Yatra pilgrimage coming up. Security will be intense.
Yeah. And while direct attacks on tourists haven't been common lately, this isn't unprecedented. That Nunwan attack you mentioned, also in Pahalgam in 2000, killed 32.
And wasn't there an abduction back in 95, foreign tourists in Pahalgam?
Yes, by a group called Al Farron. 1 hostage killed, 4 sadly never found. So this latest attack,
Yeah.
it's the deadliest targeting course there in 25 years. It feels like a potential shift back to that tactic.
Even though Pahalgam usually has security, right, because of tourism, the Yatra.
It does, and they've ramped it up massively now. More patrols, checkpoints, plans to put forces more permanently in those higher mountain areas overlooking the town.
But Bizarre Meadow, it's more remote, isn't it? Only accessible by foot or horse.
Exactly. It highlights that vulnerability in those harder-to-reach spots, even in generally secured areas.
And internationally. How did the world react?
Widespread condemnation. UN Secretary General, U.S. President Trump, VP Vance, UK PM, Putin, Zelensky, Netanyahu, leaders from China, UAE, many others. Just strong messages of solidarity with India against terror.
Pakistan's response.
They expressed concern, condolences, but denied any involvement.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive shows just how complex and tragic this is. Immediate horror, but also these long ripples.
Definitely. Targeting tourists again, these specific motives claimed around demographic changes, the global reaction. It all points to those really deep, tangled issues in Kashmir.
And you have to consider that balance, right? The need for security versus the impact on people's lives, their livelihoods, especially with tourism being so vital, and then the bigger geopolitical picture.
It really makes you ask, what does an event like this tell us about the path to finding any kind of lasting peace or stability there? It's an immense challenge.
Yeah. A reminder to look past the headlines, you know? Understand the history, the context driving this violence. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.